Hello there and welcome back to the channel. This is Mel's Gaming here with another The Hunter Call of the Wild video. Now in today's video we're going to be doing something a little bit different and we're going to be talking about some problems that I've recently encountered in The Hunter Call of the Wild. As many of you guys will know, I have been doing some grinding here on my Te Awawara single player in search of a few different trophies. Now, I noticed something was off pretty much as soon as I started grinding the Seeker Deer, and this problem has only seemingly got worse. I'm currently at one of the best feral goat lakes on the entire map, and you guys will see how few individuals are now at this lake. It's actually kind of sad. My herds have just got smaller and smaller wherever I have grinded them, and they just don't seem to be respawning properly. It's really, really strange. I don't know what's caused it, and I've heard from other people that they've noticed the same thing. As I said, I noticed it when I started grinding Seeker Deer, because where I had groups of stags, I was getting females coming back, and only females, and then a couple of stags and like 10 females in some places. And I was like, okay, something's a bit off. And then, like I said, I recently have been paying a bit more attention to the feral goats because I was thinking about making some guides after I put that community post up and you guys said you'd like to see some guides. And I noticed that my spawns were just getting less and less and less. So that first clip was of my own map, and now we're going to take a look at a couple of clips that I took in multiplayer at this same lake, to give you guys an idea of how many feral goats there normally is at this lake. And the two clips I got, these weren't even like extreme amounts of goats for this location. I've seen more. But I've been avoiding multiplayer, and we're going to talk about that a little bit more later in the video, and I'm going to show you why. But I've only been into a couple of sessions to get a couple of clips for this video, just to give you guys a comparison. But at this particular lake on my single player, I could only find it was no more than 3 or 4 male goats at this entire lake. And I have been careful with my need zones. I've been making sure to manage them and everything, the same as I always do. You guys know, I grind this game an awful lot, so I know how to, you know, keep an eye on my population and grind certain animals. And it's just gotten worse and worse and worse, and it's gotten to the point where I'm only shooting a few males per run across the entire map. There's a couple of zones, which I will talk about again in a little bit, where I do have some goats that there's decent numbers, but those are zones that I haven't yet touched. But I kind of did an experiment yesterday where I went to one of those more untouched zones, started grinding it, and now there's only a couple of males left in that zone, and it's 99% females. And it's just really hard because obviously I'm grinding for what I would like to be decent size rares for the feral goats. And yeah, you can get some okay size females, but you really, really want the males so you can get possibly even a gold albino or a gold black feral goat. And you can't get that with females. And even where I've been killing the females, I've noticed that they don't seem to be respawning either, which is really concerning. In this session you can see all these goats here, and this is what my single player looked like to start off with. There was a ton of goats there, and there was a ton of goats in this zone here, but as I've shot them, the population has just tanked, and I really, really don't know why. And I've not just noticed this with feral goats and Seeker Deer here on Te Awawara, I've also noticed it with bobcats over on Rancho del Arroyo. There are 2 of my favourite lakes where I always go for bobcats in multiplayer because they always have male bobcats that for me now have no bobcats. They just have none. And that's with making sure I'm not deleting zones or anything. They're just not there. And I am checking every spot for them. So it's not like they're just respawning somewhere else and I'm not finding them. They're just not there. And it's just really, really weird. So going back to my single player map now, and this is the very famous river hotspot for the feral goats. Now that level 5 there is a troll, so he's really not too important, but as you guys will see, this is all the goats I have here. That is 10 feral goats. That's all I have left in this spot. And it's really, really, really strange because in multiplayer there can be like 40 or more goats in this particular spot. It's an incredible hotspot. And when I first started grinding on this map, there was enough goats that it was like covering that bank over there where the 3 are. So again, we're going to go into multiplayer and have a little bit of a comparison. This, again, wasn't the hottest of sessions, but it had a good number of animals in it. You can see there's a few here, only a couple there, which is kind of normal. They do spread out, you know, every map is different on how exactly they're distributed. But over here you can see, again, more goats. So this is already more goats than I've got on my single player. But what you guys are going to notice is as I run down this slope, I'm going to go into the water and actually turn back to face round where the lodge is and look at how many goats actually spawn in once you get away from the lodge. And this doesn't happen on my single player. I don't have any zones along that part of the bank because I intentionally got rid of them because it was a pain to have to run like 200 meters away from the lodge just to get those animals to spawn in, because when you spawn in at that lodge you're too close. And it respawned, the zone respawned down where you guys saw that I had the little group of 3 all down on that little riverbank. And I had loads of goats there to start off with once those zones moved. There's just nothing there now. So this is one of the zones that I mentioned that is fairly untouched, but I have started to grind it. And there is now, I believe, 3 billies left in this group, if I counted correctly. And the rest are females. So you're going to see there's 1, 2, 3 in there. Again, I'm sorry if it's a bit hard to see. I did my best to try and get decent footage that you guys would be able to actually see what's going on. But all of those goats over there, those are all females. There was males like mixed in with this group, but like half and half almost. They're just not coming back. I can't explain it. I've never ever had this problem before. And as I chase them out of this zone, you can see there's a couple of the billies, but you can see all of the females here, which is, it's really, really sad. But look at how many females there is in comparison, and I've obviously been shooting the males, and so it's the females that are getting left. Now, this zone here is one that I have only shot a couple of goats out of, so this one's relatively new, and this is more what I would expect to see at those spots where it's just completely barren now. And you can see it's all pretty even with males and females. There's a good number of males in this group, and also a good number of females. And this is the sort of thing you'd expect to see along the river, but like 2 or 3 or 4 of these groups, but they're just not there anymore. This is the like best zone left on my map, and I know that if I start grinding it based off of my testing that I've just shown you, it's gonna end up depleting the exact same as the rest, and I'm just gonna end up with next to no feral goats left on the map. I've even been up to the lake in the very top left corner, kind of, and that lake there even only has a couple of small herds of feral goats as well, so it's just insane. And that's not the only concerning thing happening at the moment. I just spawned in here on my single player Te Awawarra, and I came down to look at the goats here on the river again, and there was actually a couple of extra goats, but I've just spawned in, and that white one says nervous. All the others say calm, but that one there says nervous, and I have just spawned in. So I haven't spooked it, and there's nothing on Te Awawarra that's a predator that will spook these guys, and it's single player, there's no one else on the map that's going to spook them. That was really, really concerning. Now we're going to take a look at the Seeker deer, and we're in this location here, which normally has a good number of Seeker along this little sort of stretch of river, where it's kind of like a little bit dry in places, and they normally drink along the bank. When I started grinding on this map, there was Seeker all over this bank. You can go into multiplayer and you will see groups of stags, bachelor groups, all along this bank. I have one female along this section of river that drinks on that side. That's it. As I ran away from my tent, you guys can see there is a little zone that's by the tent, and it has 3 females and 1 stag. That's it. Along this stretch here in the middle. And when I started, there was just stags all along here, just stags. And it was absolutely fantastic. It's one of my favourite places to go in multiplayer, because you can just see so many stags. There's one drinking over here on the bank, again just a small one on his own, and I have been trying to shoot off like the single females and that to try and get respawns, like to try and sort of boot the respawn system into working properly. Nothing has really taken effect. This right here is unfortunately the probably best zone on my entire map, and as you will see, it's again mostly females with a couple of stags mixed in. Normally along this patch you'll see, like I said, bachelor groups of stags, maybe even 2 or 3 zones of just bachelor groups. And I've seen that time and time again in multiplayer, but my single player, they just aren't there anymore. And I've been going to the lakes for Seeker, and where I had loads of males, it's just getting less and less and less. And there was lots of females, which is why I ended up with that albino hind in a previous video, because I was shooting the females, similar to what I did when I had doe-only zones in the whitetail grind, and one came back as an albino. But no matter what I do for the Seeker, they just don't seem to be working properly. Now, this is in multiplayer now, and you will have just seen there a group of bachelor stags, and that's right by the outpost. I don't even have any Seeker there anymore. They just aren't in that spot ever now. But as we run up the river, where you guys just saw, where I literally only have a few, look at the size of this group, with quite a few stags mixed in amongst it, and even the fact that there's a lot of hinds in this one, but there's more than there is on my map, and this map had so many more Seeker compared to my own. And there's another zone here over by the lodge where they were still getting into their zones, but another group of stags. And I used to have zones here too. And it's not a case of my zones have just moved, because I have been checking, and I don't have these numbers anywhere on the map anymore. They just don't seem to exist. I don't know what's happened, but it's very, very strange. And I'm not the only one who's been reporting this, and I just don't know. I don't know how to explain it. It just feels like the map becomes more and more barren, and it's very, 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 very odd. Now, I have been told to do a pop reset. Now, I have to talk about this, and this is the whole reason why I've made this video. If I have to do a pop reset, it's because of these issues. It's not because I'm trying to get, a nice free rare respawn or a free trophy respawn. You guys know how hard I work on my grinds. You've seen it with my great ones. And I can't help whatever this situation is. And also, by the way, this is also on the same map as that previous clip. Another big bachelor group of Seeker stags. I don't have any groups like this on my map anymore. And also, in the middle there, a really nice big level 5. So we'll take him out while I talk to you about this. A lot of people consider doing a pop reset as very cheaty, because people do exploit it and do like a pop reset all the time, so they're constantly getting fresh spawns, which I can see that that's, not the best thing to be doing, but I might have to do a reset because I'm noticing several problems on my maps, and it's not just the weird respawn thing going on, as I mentioned earlier. As you guys saw with that feral goat being nervous, I also had a very alarming issue happen the other day, where after being in multiplayer, I came into single player, and I started shooting some fallow deer, and as I picked them up, it was as if someone else had shot them and then left. And that was in single player. I picked them up, they had no shot info, no name on them, no nothing, and I picked them up and I got no cash and no XP, just nothing. And I was like, this is really bizarre, so I exited the main menu and went back into the game, did the same thing. The issue was still there. I had to actually restart the entire game for that issue to go away. And I'm just noticing more and more things seem to be a bit balked with my save, and I don't know if it's maybe, I don't know what it could be. Maybe it could be because of the hackers in multiplayer, and that's the next thing we're going to talk about. A lot of you guys might say, why don't you just go into multiplayer? This is why. All 3 of these clips have been taken in the last 24 hours, actually less than 24 hours, as I tried to get clips of multiplayer sessions for you guys to actually compare what my map looks like compared to other people's maps in multiplayer. So you can see here, the host of this session was level 119, when the max level is 60. And then we're going to go into another session now, which is why I was leaving that one. I noticed there was something up with this session. That's a diamond fallow deer harvested, then a diamond fallow deer, then a diamond red deer, then a diamond fallow deer. And as you guys will see as I'm zoomed in on the chat, the host then boasts about how he loves being left a modded map. This is an absolutely awful issue. There are so many hackers in multiplayer. I couldn't get into a decent Te Arawara session last night without there being hackers. And that's why I'm moving more and more away from multiplayer, because I have heard incidences where people have had their single player stuff messed up by encountering these hackers in multiplayer. So maybe that's what's broken my spawns. I don't know how that kind of thing works. And as you will see here, we have a third example of a hacker, this one using some kind of flying cheat to move around the map extremely quickly. And of course, this just means they zip around, they see all the trophy animals, they shoot them and then they leave. But not to end on such a negative note, we're going to take a look at this guy, which was one of the last decent feral goat spawns I got. This is a really nice level 5 that I thought had a really good chance at making diamond, and he just so happens to be my favourite fur type for the feral goats, so that's a really nice addition. But basically, this video was basically just to talk about the issues I'm having with multiplayer, with all of those hackers, which unfortunately, they seem to have gotten a lot worse since certain videos were posted by certain people, which has basically encouraged people to go and use these awful cheats. And honestly, I don't know why you'd want to use them. How can you use a cheat for a hunting game and think that that is somehow fun? I just don't get it. But if I end up having to do a population reset for my game, I hope this explains for you guys and shows you guys that there is a legitimate issue. I'm not doing it sort of for any other reason than to try and fix my game, because it's getting really, really sad that I can't even grind my single player because I'm having so many issues, and I can't go into multiplayer because I'm just constantly encountering hackers. So I hope this video has done a good job to explain that, and we got a couple of nice diamonds in this video as well, so it was not all down and gloomy in this video. Got a really nice diamond seeker and a really, really nice diamond feral goat. So thank you all so much for watching. Like I said, I hope it's done a good job of explaining everything I wanted to talk about. And yeah, we got to see a couple of really nice animals as well as a bonus. Thank you so much for watching and for all your support as always. I really, really do appreciate all of it so very much. Thank you guys, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you.